Good morning to everyone, good afternoon, and possibly even some of you, good evening. Welcome to the next series of COGEN World Talks, and today we'll be focusing on industrial cogeneration around the world. We have about 90 minutes, and I'm very pleased that we have three very interesting case studies looking at industrial application of cogeneration or CHP. So today I will be your moderator, facilitator. I'm the Executive Director at COGEN World Coalition. Just a few housekeeping issues. This webinar has actually been recorded, so it will also be made available on the CWC website after the webinar. There is a Q&A function on the Zoom platform, so if you have any questions, please place them there. We do have time at the end of the webinar to address these questions, but don't hesitate if you have a question to go ahead and jot it down, and perhaps during the other presentations the speakers can also answer the questions in writing. If not, then we'll go through them orally. And that's about it, really. We have 90 minutes, and I want to dedicate as much time as possible to the case studies. But before that, I'd like to give the floor to Tom Smith, who is the new president of COGEN World Coalition, who will give some welcome and introductory remarks. Tom, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks, Hans. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Hans made, for those of you who know me, I tend to ramble on a little bit. So Hans mentioned that I have to finish my intro in less than 90 minutes. So I'll do my best to get it done here pretty quickly. As I mentioned, for those who do know me, I've actually been in the industry for 43 years. So cogeneration basically started by Thomas Edison in 1882 at his Pearl Street station in downtown New York, where he was providing electric power. Then the thermal energy was used to heat buildings. So I was sort of doing the math. I've been around about a third of the time that CHP has been around. So I'm pretty excited about that. I sort of have to apologize early because I'm actually in Boston. I live in Chicago, but we're bringing some customers to see a CHP site here in Boston that we have, over 60,000 hours on. So do a lot of work in the CHP sector. In fact, with a lot of the other speakers, I was at the IDA conference last week, which is the International District Energy Association, talking about CHP and talking about a CHP project that we're looking at with 100% hydrogen that's actually future-proofing a great technology. If you think about it, most of the world cogen is on natural gas, but with clean fuels and the focus on zero emissions, being able to run CHP super efficiently on clean fuels, I think, is the key, to the future of our industry as we head to zero carbon. The other thing that, I really want to do as sort of the head of the CHPA is really get the word out about a great technology. And as everyone knows, we're facing a ton of headwinds, and we do have some tailwinds going for us too. So, the headwinds obviously are, when I started in the industry, natural gas was looked at as the clean fuel, and now it tends to be lumped in with coal and oil and other carbon-based fuels. And, we're facing that, headwind right now of, most of the CHP projects that we're looking at are, based on natural gas, and people are, looking at that fuel as being, a negative. As I look at it, it's sort of a transition fuel. And a lot of the tailwinds that we're facing, like here in the United States, through the Combined Heat and Power Alliance, that I'm also the president of, we were able to drive to get, a 30% investment tax credit and a grant that could go to CHP projects, and that could be even increased with domestic content and where you put it. So, it's really driving a lot of interest in the CHP side. And if you think about it, as fuels like hydrogen and others become, more prevalent, people are going to want to use those as efficiently as they can. And if you can use those in a CHP system that produces energy, let's say at 80+%, and the fuel is very valuable, that's a great use of that fuel. The other thing that we've been doing at the CWC is trying to, understand where the market's going and what's happening, with the CHP industry. Hans sort of asked that I give a little update on, a report that we had done on the current and future trends of the CHP market. Not to anybody's surprise, the current market has primarily been, natural gas fueled. It's been dominated by, let's say large industrial applications where thermal requirements are very, very key, and CHP has been a good fit. A lot of the areas that have been growing are Asia Pacific, areas of the world that are becoming more electrified. In Europe and the United States and North America have been fairly active markets because of, people wanting low cost, reliable energy. So, CHP has done a fairly good job of growing, over the last several years. However, with the headwinds and people not knowing of the future of, let's say, carbon-based fuels, there are some slowdowns in the market. However, we're feeling that the future is going to be in a lot of, let's say, growing areas like India and China, where demands are starting to increase both electrically and thermally. So that market is growing, and it's going to be looking at, let's say, alternate fuels like we talked about, RNG, renewable natural gas, hydrogen, and others. So, we do feel that the future is bright for CHP, but the key thing is to get the message out. And one of the reasons that I agreed to become the president of the COGEN World Coalition is to do that. And what we need to do is to be able to have a common messaging on the great things CHP can do on a global level, a regional level, let's say like the North America and COGEN Europe and other parts of the world, but also on a local level to, push the advantages of CHP. And I think if we can do that, as I mentioned, CHP has been around for like 140 years. We're going to be around for another 140 years plus, providing reliable electric and thermal energy. And the one thing that I'll end on right now is we can't do that without membership. And, if anybody is passionate of CHP like I am or works for a company, please reach out to Hans and join. He's going to talk about that, at the end of the event here today, but that's key to our success. So with that, Hans, hopefully I didn't ramble too long. I think I overstepped my bounds by a minute, but that's pretty good for me. So thanks again. And I appreciate, everybody attending.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you for those positive words.